Now, what would you like for folks to know about your father?
Well, one thing I'd like for folks to know about my dad is outside of snake handling preacher, it's what he believed in, it's what he stood on. He died doing what he loved, but, this man was also a good daddy, a good husband, and a great grandfather. His grandbaby, my little girl, that was his world. He loved her more than anything but God. He loved God more than her, but he said, I never thought that I could love my grandchild more than I loved you and your sister. He said, and I don't mean to do that. He said, but that's just what kind of joy she brought to me. He had a big heart. He would help anybody that needed help. He forgave you as many times as you do something wrong, and he loved everybody. He stood for the Word of God, but the man had love like no one else I've ever seen. And that's the kind of love it takes to get to heaven.
How do you feel about taking over the church?
Taking over the church, it's going to be a hard responsibility. It's going to be rough. It's first few years is bad. I mean, it didn't start getting good for him till probably 5 years ago, and then it was finally, and things still happen. And he's been at it a long time. So to say this, man, it's a rough road. But I would rather come in and do what I know that I'm supposed to do than instead of not do it and someone else take over and everything that he stood on just tear it down. I wouldn't allow that. I'll what it taught me and what the Word of God says, I'll stand on the signs and the baptism and everything until either I die or they kick me out of the church. Because if I didn't, he'd be disappointed in me.
What would your dad say to people about his belief?
Dad always said to people, he said, if you could feel an ounce of what I felt, not saying if you was handling snakes, he said, if you could feel an ounce of what I felt when I was handling snakes, he said, you'd never talk about it again. He said, because it was a feeling that was peaceful, that you didn't have to worry about nothing. And when God moves on you, it don't matter what's going on in your life, it gets better. Because when God moves, everything if he's a comforter in a time of need, is what Dad would say. If you could just feel what I felt, and you never handled a snake in your life, if you could just feel of touch, you'd never judge me.